to Dig and Dive with David, where curiosity is learning. Thank you for joining today. If you like the show, please share and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And now presenting your host, David Dan Singh.
Today on the show, I'll be talking to Josh Zarichny. I met Josh at work and was really impressed with his work ethic and his approach to building relations. So I wanted to get him on the show to share his insights with you and help you get more on insights on your career in finance. Josh has worked for several leading financial institutions and is an avid outdoorsman. What's happening, Josh?
How's it going, David?
Good. How was work today?
Good. It's always a good day.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, so welcome to the show. I'm excited for you. You're literally my first guest, and we got a long road ahead, my friend. Yeah, and thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. Josh, tell me, what do you like to do for fun?
I do lots for fun. I'm always outside when I'm not at work, doing martial arts and going hunting and fishing and all sorts of fun stuff. Lots of hiking.
Awesome. All right, Josh, let's dig and dive now. Let's understand your career in finance. I believe you started your career in finance. What is the greatest achievement in your financial career so far?
My greatest achievement in my financial career has to be just the road that I've been on and seeing how far I've come. And from where I started, speaking to brokerages when I was 19 and looking for my shot, taking a shot in the dark and, just really going after it to where I am now, where it's just, it's quite incredible to see how far it comes. It hasn't been easy. It's been a long road. But that's probably the greatest part to look back on is, from the days of interviewing with people trying to get a position or, just wanting to learn more about the financial world and how everything works to where I am now in my career is that's probably my biggest accomplishment that I look back on so far.
Yeah. Now, what's your background on, Josh? Well, how did you get into finance?
I had no financial experience when I was younger. You know what? Honestly, I was at a barbecue when I was 18. I just graduated. And, the time comes where your parents and family ask you, what are you going to do with your life?
Yeah.
And I had no clue. I was kind of working on a ranch. And I had an uncle he's an MGA of his own brokerage, and he kind of drew some highlights on, what a career in finance might look like. And I also found out how much he made. So that wasn't a very attractive part. Now he's 75 years old, yeah. So I have a long ways to go yet before I started making that kind of money. But it was very attractive, and I wasn't raised around that. Yeah. The money and how money works. So that I was in Manitoba, and when I flew back home, I gave him a call and I asked, okay, how do I start? And he said, walk into, find a brokerage that you want to work for, mm-hmm. and then just ask them. And that's exactly what I did, and as the road went on with that.
Did you take any courses or anything like that before you started?
Like schooling or anything? Yeah. No, none. I started out just right out of the gates, not knowing anything. I talked to a lot of people, like just people who owned their own brokerages, financial advisors, investment advisors, analysis, and it kind of not every aspect in the financial world, but definitely the four big key players of financial advising and life insurance and mutual funds. And I kind of hung around. I played ball for a bit with them, but when it changed was when I started actually, putting the pieces of the puzzle together and learning how everything works. And that's how, I've kind of made my way. It's just by talking and learning from people and taking, what people have for advice to heart and just using, use what you want and leave the rest.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you started with a brokerage firm. What was it like starting right off the bat with no experience?
I still remember. I called. I called the brokerage, and I have the script because I didn't know what I wanted to say. I was so nervous to talk to this brokerage, and I really wanted the opportunity. So I wrote down a script of what I was going to say and how the conversation was, and it was like, "Hi, I'm Josh Zarichny. I'm interested in a financial services career.
Yeah.
Would I be able to have a meeting with you?" And I wrote, so I have that on a plaque on my wall now. But it was extremely intimidating. I wore a three-piece suit to my first meeting.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone else it's a Saturday, and they're wearing jeans and a t-shirt. So
Yeah.
I definitely didn't know anything, but I just really I wanted to learn.
Yeah.
So my the first brokerage I worked for was in Grand Prairie. So I had to drive from Whitecourt, Alberta, to Grand Prairie throughout the week, and just do courses and have meetings and learn from the advisors from that brokerage.
What did you do there? What was your role?
I was in an internship. So what happens when you normally start with a brokerage is they put you through. It's normally a 3-month course of progression. So it's market evaluation, market building, and just seeing if you have the clientele and resources and the ability to run your own business and book of business. And they kind of guide you along. So there's a few licenses that you have to get along the way, but they kind of mold you into what they want.
Could you tell us the licensing part?
Yeah. So the first thing, and it kind of right off the bat, you can go into the life insurance industry. That's a very profitable industry. But what really turns my crank is investments. But you have to start from where you are, and what you're interested in. But you have to take your HLOQP, and that's your life insurance qualification program, and that gets you licensed. Then you can also become duly licensed in mutual funds, so getting your IFIC or your securities license as well. I mean, you need those licenses.
Sorry to cut you off. For the people who don't know, IFIC is investment. It's more like an investment license here in Canada, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so you need those licenses to sell securities and really give any advice on the financial planning on the side of it, what you should be doing with your money, and not if you're talking investments wise. You need to be accredited to do so. So I went down the road with that, and it was probably a good 5-year learning curve for me, and it was various brokerages, and just I had a lot of fun in that period of time, just learning the game of this.
What were the hours like, and what was it like working for a brokerage firm? Because when you work in the financial industry, I know investment bankers, they work a lot of hours. They hardly have time, but it depends on case-to-case basis. What were your hours like?
Well, since I didn't, I was working out of my home. It quickly grew from a curious fascination into an obsession of learning this, because it's financial literacy isn't something that's taught. Right. So you have to really dig deep, and read about this. So, and I had no experience whatsoever in doing so. So I read, and just absorbed as much as I could. So with only a few hours of sleep for probably a year, I'd say.
Yeah, that's good.
Of just marketing, prospecting, financial, like building that book of business.
Yeah.
It took a lot of work to get to where it peaked.
Yeah. How old were you at that time?
I was 19.
You were 19?
Yeah.
Did you have to build your clients from the scratch, or?
Well, I was lucky. So I'm originally from Dauphin, Manitoba. So I moved around quite a bit growing up. Like I went to 5 high schools during high school. So I got to know a lot of people. So when I entered the financial services industry, I had a pretty good playbook of clients that I could serve. So that helped me out when I first started, because I had all of these people that I knew. So when instead of just doing the cold door-to-door knocking, like I kind of went off, it's your warm market and your cold market, right? Well, I had a pretty big warm market because I know a lot of people. So it was just talking to people and saying, hey, listen, this is what I'm doing. Are you interested? And then, and that was the basis of how I started. There was no talking, it was just expressing, I'm in this industry now. Would you be interested in sitting down with me and seeing what I can offer? And, we did lots of trade shows, lots of like financial services seminars, teaching, and that was something that I actually not took from the company, but that's something that I implemented was, you can speak to a client one-on-one, but if you can put 50 people in a room, there's a much broader audience to speak to. Yeah. So that's what we did. We went around, we did a tour from Edmonton, Calgary, Lethbridge, and then into Saskatchewan as well. So we did have a pretty good turnout with that.
Yeah. So were you booking clients on people that you knew? So it's more like building relationship with people that you knew, and building your own client list. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How hard was that?
Well, I had a mentor. So my mentor that was with me was duly licensed. So we would go around. He showed me the ropes of a lot of things on how it works. But, it comes down to your relationship with people, and how you act as an individual. Do people trust you enough, to render their services?
Yeah.
Is that takes a tremendous amount of trust between your broker and your client, because you are dealing with their finances. So luckily for me, I do have good relationships with most people in my life.
Yeah.
But especially in business, I really got to fall back on people that I know, and just because of the relationships I've maintained and kept along the way, it wasn't an unintangible goal for me to do that.
So what happened after that? After you worked for the brokerage firm? I believe you did also work with a leading financial institution. How did you prepare for that? How did you get into that?
Well, I was in the life insurance and mutual funds industry for about 2 years, and then I wanted to learn about banking, and that's when I got into just banking. Applied for a bank, and I got a position, and we went from there.
How was the interview process when you first got for the audience who want to get into banking? How was the interview process? What tips do you you have for beginners?
Definitely for anybody who's looking to get into the financial services industry, it's always be yourself, right? Because that's half the thing. Is there are a tremendous amount of people who claim something to be that they're not, and it's very easy to read through that, especially in the interview process, because you're dealing with people that deal with people every day. So when you go into an interview, it's rather better, in my experience, to say you want to learn rather than talk about what you know.
Yeah.
And I've always found that to be a good key.
Yeah. So you gave your interview. You obviously got the job. And how did you start? What was your position?
When I first started banking, it was just as a teller position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it like working? How many hours did you have to work? And what was the job role more? Was it more customer faced, or was it more dealing with cash, or was it more, math, or what were you doing there? What were your accountabilities?
It was basically just day-to-day transactions, dealing with cash and dealing with people. Fortunately for me, I worked for a very small bank in a small town, so I quickly I moved up. I had gotten lucky. I like talking to people.
Yeah.
So I get stuck.
Yeah, no, that's what I want. I noticed when I first met you at the bank. He's more like a customer focused person. He's a good person to talk to. So that's what I noticed. Do you think it it has to do more with people, building relationships with people, or is it just more, they're just there for they're there for what they want and they're just out?
No, not at all. And I think that's the stigma behind finances. It's not all, there's vehicles to move your money. So now if I come out, so it's like the traditional pitch, right? Like if I come at you with like, oh, as a salesman, I think that you should do this. Where now if I take the time to explain, if I get the time to say to you and explain to you what this vehicle is actually going to do for you, whether if it's a tax-free savings account with a DI account in it, or what's your money doing for you?
Yeah.
How is it working for you? Are you making more? It's always good to evaluate your finances. So when you get to have that one-on-one conversation with the individual, depending on their financial literacy, you can educate them on how to move forward with that and see what track they're on.
Yeah. No. So after you worked with the financial institution, you decided to change your career paths. Why did you decide that?
I was just really curious about banking. To be honest with you, there wasn't like this big change. I just, there's a lot of bigger institutions in Canada, and I thought, well, I'm doing good here. Let's go see what I can do in a bank. And I like the team aspect of a bank. Not saying that I won't go back to the brokerage industry, but for right now, I'm enjoying what I'm learning.
And you also worked for a lending institution. What did you learn from there?
As a loan officer, it was just different things as it comes. It's learning the application process and credit history of people and how to work with that, and it goes beyond just giving out money, right? So if you apply for something, now you might not have the DTI score, the debt to ratio score. Your debt's too high and your income's too low to be able to take on what you want to take on.
How would you explain that? Could you explain that to me? What does that mean?
Your debt to income ratio.
Yeah.
So that means that your debt, like your assets and your liabilities, you have way too high of, not way too high, but your liabilities outweigh your assets of what you have coming in. So now let's say you're $100,000 in debt and you want to take out a $50,000 loan.
Yeah.
That's not, depending on your income. If you have a couple $100,000 every year coming in, that's not something to blink an eye at. But each individual has their own, debt that they carry. So now how do we work with that? How do we take you from this debt that you have that you can't get applied, and how do we improve?
How do we
improve your credit score?
Yeah.
And to get you to the place where you can take on positive debt. Like there's bad debt and there's positive debt, right?
Yeah.
Good debt and bad debt. And how do we get you there?
Yeah. Where does you're pretty good in finance, Josh, as far as I know. Where does your paycheck go? How do you allocate your savings?
Well, pretty much like I have like a share ownership plan. Like where does my paycheck go? How do I spend it? I definitely say I invest in my. I take a chunk of it that goes into my direct investing account that I play with, buy stocks and buy like other things that can make my money move.
Yeah.
Also, like most companies have an EOP offering where
What's the EOP?
Where your employment matches your bet, like your contribution.
Oh, okay.
So I do that as well. RSP contributions, and depending on what's making money, that's the thing. Right now, it's better off for an individual, in my opinion, to be investing, right? Because all of the savings accounts and stuff, you're not really making that great of a return.
Yeah, especially in the pandemic right now, we're in. The interest rates have gone down significantly. People are moving money out. They just don't feel that it's making a lot of benefit for them. And because what's interesting is the Bank of Canada dropped the interest rate, their prime rate, to, I think it is 2.45 right now.
Yeah.
For lending. So if I were to go for a loan or something like that, my interest rate, my prime rate is pretty much low, but then my interest rate could be a little bit higher depending on several factors. I hear that the mortgage rates are gone down. This is actually a good time to buy a house for people who are in the market looking for houses. It's actually a good time to look around, and not saying that you should go and buy a house immediately, but you definitely got to do your research before buying a house, looking for best offers out there. So yeah, you mentioned that most of your paycheck goes into investments and you play around with it, and I think that's a good way to manage your money as well. I think you're a pretty young guy. How old are you?
I just turned 25.
Nice. Yeah. So I think you're at the right track. What are the 10 most things you want to accomplish while you're here in the planet Earth? I'd say
The planet. This giant rock that's just floating in.
Right.
It's nothing. No, you know what? It's for me. It's all about writing your book. I think a lot about that is what did you do? What did you do during your life?
Yeah.
What's important? Like, is it self? There's obviously self goals, but how much what's the impact you have on your community? Your tribe, the people that you go with, and how did you impact them?
Yeah.
And I think about that a lot. Is how am I showing up every day? And that's pretty much it. Like, for self goals, like tangible stuff is just live a good life. I like doing stuff that I like to do. I don't really waste too much time on stuff that's not good for me. Mm-hmm. Like if I don't want to do it, I don't really do it. And that's not like when there's conflict come up, I'll challenge. Like, if I have a challenge, I'm pretty good at like hitting it head on and going through the adversity of that. But if I don't want to do something that is creating conflict with me, like I don't really waste too much time sweating it. Like, I drop it, I'm on to the next thing. Yeah. And that's pretty much how I live my life, is try to stay positive and make sure I'm a good member of the community that I surround myself in.
Yeah. If your emergency fund is sufficient, because I know I have an emergency fund for myself, and it took some time for me to save for an emergency fund, just in case if something went wrong. How much time do you think you need to save for an emergency fund? How many? Because I've heard a lot of people say you should have at least 6 months you should have 12 months, you should have 1 year of saving. In the crisis we're at right now with the pandemic, the economy has gone down. There are lots of jobs that people have lost a lot of jobs, and they're just depending on government, help. Their government checks that come in, like the Canada Emergency Response Benefit. Is that what they call it? The CERB?
The CERB, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? What's your opinion?
Bank that CERB. Put it away. Do something with it. Don't spend it on a Saturday night. No, and I think that was a big shock for a lot of people, right? Was the safe, secure net that we call our economy started to fluctuate. People started losing jobs as their income and had to rely on the government. And that was the majority. Like, there was definitely probably half the people had suffered from it. So it got people thinking, how do you do? The more the better. There's no like right number to have. I think that if you can pay 3 months rent and your bills, whatever you have, your mortgage, have that tucked away in a nest egg and don't touch it. Mm-hmm. That's great for everybody.
So would you say 3 months or 5 months, or how much would you say, and how much?
Well, that's like, it depends really on how much you make.
Yeah.
So if you're already struggling, and that's the thing for a lot of Canadians, is how our living expenses are like phenomenal. right? Like realistically, saving 10%. How many people can save 10% off their check after all the bills are paid?
Yeah.
Right? Not very many. You can maybe save 5%. But staying adamant on saving that 5% every month or every paycheck, or not even that, but just contributing when you can, will make the difference for everybody.
Yeah.
And for yourself too, right? It adds up quickly, especially if you're having something that's going to earn you interest or gain compound interest.
Yeah.
You won't even notice it. Like the rule of 72 is anything over an 8% interest rate will double every 8 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you think about it, you throw $10,000 away within 7 years,
Yeah. No, I think.
you're going to get 20.
Yeah, I think for me, what I'm trying out is to have, some sort of savings in the background in case if something were to happen. There could be anything. For all the for our audience who are having a tough time to even start to save. I mean, putting even $25 into your bank account of every bi-weekly or every 2 weeks, that counts. I mean, it's hard for people who have large families, who are single, who are divorced, who have kids. It's hard for them, especially at in these times, to save. But I think, like you said, Josh, that people who are getting the CERB, they should bank that and start saving for themselves. That's a good idea, man. We should do something like that. What do you, if your emergency fund is sufficient, other than saving for retirement or your children's education, are you done saving?
Are you done saving? Well, it really depends on what kind of lifestyle you live.
Yeah.
It really does.
Are you more like that? Oh, I should get a good car, or I should get I should increase my assets. Like I should have. I'm more like a real estate person. I should buy this or more. Because I have a few friends like that. They're more into real estate. They want to build their books.
Real estate's a great option because you own that asset, right?
Yeah.
And that asset's producing,
Yeah.
generating money for you, and that's passive income. Once that house is paid off, that is completely passive income. I'm more conservative. I'm probably more than most people would be on spending. Like I really like to think about, like I will just buy stuff, but like for big purchases that are going to take up like debt, or even like my car. Like I have a nice car. I love driving it, but I knew walking into that dealership that I wasn't going to pay for something I didn't want to get into every morning.
Right.
Right. So it's worth what it's worth to me.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy driving that.
Yeah.
Now, other than that, I don't really have any like major expenses, and I'm cautious of that. Like saving for a house. Buying into that your first home buyer's plan, and contributing to that is, instead of just taking out a loan or borrowing money from somebody to put that first 10% down on a house. You can do. There's ways to do it without having to suffer for the next 20 years.
Yeah. No, I completely agree.
That's a lot of sacrifice that most people, it's the long-term thinking, right, of how your money is going to work for you, right? So like the short little bit of suffering, saving or having to allocate this money into an investment or an account for say 5 years. Yeah, you might not have that extra money to play with, but at the end of the day, when you go to make a big purchase or an investment in something, you have the funds available without having to pay it back.
That's what I was thinking. Because I feel like borrowing money for putting a down payment is really bad. Having money saved up for a down payment is really the upside. Because I've met a few people. They said they want to borrow money to put money towards a down payment for a house. I was like, you're getting into more debt.
Yeah, you're gonna be paying double. And pay 2 mortgages.
Yeah. So that's a no for me. I wouldn't do that for for our audience. I think, in my opinion, it's a no. And yeah. And what's the most reliable way to pay off debt? What do you think is the best?
Probably doing either doing a financial analysis on you, on yourself, or finding an advisor to give you a financial plan
Yeah.
of how, because then you can really have a clear picture of where your funds are going to,
Yeah.
right? Like, say your car payment's $400. Well, that's $400 there. Insurance is another, $350. If you have a house,
The mortgage
like
payments,
healthy debt,
utilities.
yeah. So if it's bad debt, like if you've taken loans out from, and there also are places that give loans with an incredibly high interest
I know,
rate,
right?
46%. Like
That's
you are
ridiculous.
never walking away out of that unless you pay it off like instantaneously.
Yeah.
You can't make the minimum payment on that. You'll be making that for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So that's where a lot of people get in trouble. Is they're already in a negative financial place. They don't have the funds, and that brief moment of relief for getting that few $1,000s
Yeah.
isn't worth the next 5 years of ruining your credit history and taking that. So being and starting from where you are, right? There's never a bad time to start. Like you are where you are financially. It's gonna be the same thing in an hour, right? Unless you start working away at it. You
Yeah.
know, if that's there's ways to build your credit. Getting a credit card, making on-time
Yeah.
payments, doing stuff to rebuild that, and paying your bills on time. Slowly
Yeah.
start chipping away at it. You'll get there. It'll take a while.
Yeah.
But you'll get there.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Josh, and I think the best way is to sit down, do your own budget first, and thinking of first you have to think of how much you make versus how much will go to this credit card or towards my loan,
Yeah.
and then first you have to sit down, take care of yourself first, and then. When I say take care of yourself, you have to make sure that you're feeding yourself first before. You have to sit down with an advisor, and the best way is to get an analysis of where your payments are going and how much they're going to break it down for you. So I think it's a good option also, or you could even do it at home, like just build a budget or something like that.
Well, that's the thing, right? You talk to a lot of people. Like I've got friends that I talk to that are like, no, I don't have the funds to invest, and they work full time. But it's like what is Netflix? Like $8 a month for a
Yeah.
Netflix subscription? If you cancel,
I think it's $10.
$10 now?
$10. It was $6. I think it was $7 at one. $7.99 at one point. They kind of went up.
Yeah.
I heard that they're cracking down people who use Netflix, other people's Netflix accounts. So that's weird. I don't know why.
Who'd you hear that from?
I just saw it on TV or something today. They're cracking down because
I use my dad's Netflix, so.
so I don't know. I think Netflix. If you're cutting down Netflix, that won't make a difference. Is that what you're saying?
It will. If it's freeing up money for yourself, that $10 a month.
Yeah.
A DI account is free. There's no annual fee for most of them. At least not.
What's a DI account?
A direct investing account.
Yeah.
As simple as looking at. So that $10 you just saved from canceling your Netflix subscription can buy you, if you had a stock that was at, say, 50 cents, that's 20 shares.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Those 20 shares double.
Yeah.
You've just doubled your money, and then it goes up from there, right? So even those small little contributions, and like short-term versus long-term investing, if you just start, and that's probably, in my opinion, the best way to save money, is just start buying shares in companies.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, it does become a scary thing for a lot of people because it's just as easy to gain money as it is to lose. And where that comes into is doing your own investigation on these companies. And it's not like, I know it sounds, everyone's like, oh my God, like I don't know nothing about investing. It's as simple as using Google.
Yeah.
If I want to buy shares in Coca-Cola, I'm going to look at what Coca-Cola is doing. Is there a margin for profitability with them? What are they doing? If they're coming over with a new Coke can or whatever, a new Coke flavor, people are probably going to want to try that, and that's going to increase the profitability of the company, which my share theoretically should grow. So there's always a gamble in buying stock, but the more you get familiarized with it and fluent in it, like it becomes it's a pretty easy gamble. Sometimes you lose. Don't get me wrong. Some days where I go, what the heck happened today?
Right.
But the majority of the time, it's a pretty good bet
Yeah.
that what I think is going to happen is going to happen, and then it's just from reading on the company.
Yeah. Interesting. You got into stocks there. That was actually my first, my other question. How can I make more money in stocks and bonds? And what stocks would I look for as beginner in stock investing? Like,
I know a lot of people have like a diversified portfolio, and I'm the complete opposite. I normally have
you're having a set of stocks that do you keep looking at the markets, or do you do your own research, or is it more word of mouth, or how do you get into these things? How do you find out?
How do I find out?
Yeah.
I just go into like a trance at around 11 o'clock at night on Google, and I sit there till like 3 in the morning reading stuff. That's word of mouth. Like I'm always talking to people about stocks and what's this and what's that going to do. But it comes down to just reading.
Yeah.
Reading the annual reports on companies, what they've done.
Yeah. Would you recommend that for our people, for the audience who are interested in finance and interested in stock investing?
For the beginner, the easiest thing, and I know a lot of people, they're like, oh, I'm on this, like they'll download an app that doesn't charge a fee,
yeah,
but it takes 2% of what they gain. So it's like you're basically, like, say you bought GameStop and you made like $1 million, they're taking 2% of that.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't want to pay 2%. I'd rather pay the $10 fee for one trade,
right,
and then take my profits and walk away.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. That was really unusual about that. But yeah, do you feel you're reaching your goals financially then right now, or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm putting a lot of effort right now into Tesla.
Tesla's way up there for I don't know what their stock is at right now, but owning a Tesla stock is pretty good right now.
The Tesla stock itself is, but
what is it at right now? Do you know?
No.
Yeah.
I'm more interested in, because they're going to go into mass production.
Yeah.
Of their electric vehicles.
Yeah.
Now they need batteries from those vehicles, and the main two components of those batteries are lithium and copper. So there's going to be a copper and lithium shortage, which means that Tesla's going to have. They posted an article the other day. They're looking for the greenest renewable mining company.
Yeah, you told me that. Yeah.
And there's a contract up. So I've been reading a lot on these different mining companies and seeing. I've pretty much narrowed down like 3 that I think it's going to be, but I'm not certain yet.
Yeah.
But once I do have a better understanding of it, like and that's what I don't keep like 50 stocks. I just kind of keep 1 or 2, and then I don't have to worry every day and shuffle through what I'm learning and stop and trade and sell and buy and stuff. I just keep it, and then I make a good guess. Try to make a good guess, and if it grows, it grows. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I don't. I keep it pretty simple.
Yeah.
I just do my homework on the company. And that's what I would say to people who are like trying to get into investing and stuff is, don't go in with like, there's no such thing as like the instant $1 million ideal. It's a process of just gains and losses, and you know, if you trust in the company, don't sell in a loss, like just because it's volatile, so it's going to go up and down. But you know, if you believe in what you bought, see it through, because the majority of the time, if you have that gut feeling that you think it's going to go, it just might, and it might not. That's the thing. You might lose all your money, and
yeah,
that's the end of it.
Yeah, I was just looking at Tesla stock as of today at $693.73 US dollars. So,
the space, when they start producing, because his goal is to go to Mars,
yeah,
which is a fascinating thing to be in this generation.
But he's also very unpredictable. Right?
He's very unpredictable, which is why it's interesting. He keeps it.
Yeah. For people who want to buy stocks, do you think major companies like Tesla, Coca-Cola, Walmart, or Disney? Or should they start with that, or just penny stocks?
No, you know what?
It all depends.
It really, there's no wrong answer for this. You have to invest in what you want, and I suggest invest in something that you're interested in.
Yeah.
Because you don't need 50 stocks to get rich. You need like one or two, and you just have to be right once to make profit, right? And it's gravy once you get the profit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because then you can sell, and then you hold that profit, and then you go after something else.
Yeah.
And you just keep doing it over and over again, and then you'll get there.
Yeah. Any personal finance tips to grow your wealth?
Especially people now, like people have to come to the realization that financial literacy isn't taught, right? So most of where people get their information from is from their parents, and if their parents weren't good at handling their assets, they probably aren't either. So doing your own homework and learning about the different vehicles that are available with banks and brokerages, and find out, because there's lots of ways to build it.
Yeah.
You just have to find what works for you and what's applicable to you at the time, right? There's tons of ways, whether if you take on, start saving and then and investing or whatever you want, but you just have to start learning about it.
Yeah.
Is the basic thing. And question, don't always believe what you're told. Just become curious about it.
Yeah.
And try to go in deep with it.
Yeah. Someone finally just wanted to know, someone wanting to start a career in banking or finance. What career tips and advice do you have for them?
I'd just be who you are. That's my biggest thing. That's what I really admire about like the people that I work with. Is you have to be yourself, right? And it's very easy to see through that.
Yeah.
But become hungry. Learn. There's tons of things. Even at
there's tons of things.
Our bank.
Yeah.
Everybody has a different position, and everyone's got something to teach.
Yeah.
So networking and talking to those people, you can learn a lot. Like you do learn, and then people will take the time to show you how to do it as well. But there's nothing like start at the bottom and work your way up. That's the easiest way.
How would I prepare for that? Do I have to write a series of tests, or I just have to? Because I know on YouTube there are lots of videos for preparing for interviews on a career in finance or banking. For people, for the audience who are really interested to get a career in finance, I think the best way, there are lots of ways, but I think right now the most free option is to just go on YouTube, and you can find a lot of videos on career in banking and finance. And just like you said, is being inquisitive, right? More learning from other people. I can learn from clients as well. That's another way of learning from. In some ways, even your customers might know more than you. So yeah, building up relationships. How important is that for you in your career in finance?
That is finance.
Yeah.
Is relationships with people.
Yeah.
That's it too. You got to have good relationships, and you have to be able to show up. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Is I spend a lot of time making sure I'm good, so I can perform.
Yeah.
And do my job. So that's the biggest thing for people. You have to. I once worked. I worked. I had moved down to Saskatoon, and it was I walked into a firm, and I said, "Hey, I'm like Josh Zarichny. I would like to work." I ended up meeting. It was the financial center manager of it, and he knew the guy that I worked with. And I was thinking of moving to Saskatoon, so I wanted to see if I could work for their firm. And he knew the guy that I had worked for in Grand Prairie, so he got on the phone with him, and he said he's a good guy. So he said, "Yeah, come move down." And I packed my stuff, and I moved down there with like not a penny, nothing. Like, sold my vehicle. I had to walk. It was an hour and a half walk to work every morning. I couldn't afford a bus. Like, that's how broke I was. And I was sleeping on a friend's couch, and I would meet him there because the doors for the firm opened up at 7. I was there at around 6:30, so I was always the first one waiting in the lobby to get in, and he was the first one there as well, so he'd open the door. So in the mornings, we would have coffee together in the morning and just talk. He loved the Boston Red Sox, and I knew nothing, but I did read a lot about it because I wanted to have a conversation with him. So we got to know each other really good, and I remember just sitting in, like, I loved it in there because you're immersed. The phones are going, people are yelling.
Yeah.
It's a commotion, and I knew that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But it was that was probably one of the hardest times of my life. I didn't have nothing. My shoes, I borrowed my dad is I'm a size 12, my dad's a size 10.
Yeah.
I didn't have dress shoes, so I borrowed my dad's shoes. So I'd have to walk an hour and a half downtown, and my feet would bleed, and because my shoes would rub on the back of my heel.
Yeah.
And I always say to myself, you're not chasing your dreams hard enough if your feet aren't bleeding. Like, you got to work to get it. And he ended up, there was, out of that internship, there was, they had a few candidates, but these were all guys that were well established in finance. The one guy was a geologist. And they have the credentials, they have the university degrees, they have the e-commerce, Bachelor of Business Administration, all of these 4-year, the business degrees, you name it. And he chose me, and I had nothing. I'd walk the streets building, we had to do prospecting, and I'd walk up and down the main drag down there. I'd talk to cops, the cops is the traditional guys eating the donuts on the hood, and I'd come talk with them for a bit and get them all laughing and talking, and that's how I built it. So he hired me, and when he did, he said, because and that was the big thing with me. I thought, I have to go to university for 4 years and learn this stuff. And he said, you know what? He said, I've been here 30 years. He said, I have my GED. He said, I'd rather hire somebody who has the drive than the credential. 9 out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I always stuck, and I did was in college, trying to tackle my business degree.
Yeah.
But it comes down to that. Like, if you don't need that business degree to get into the game. Like, you just need to have the drive and the determination to get in. And you don't have to have all the answers. You just have to be hungry to learn.
Yeah.
And people, if you show that to people,
Yeah.
they'll take you on and bring you under their wing and teach you what they know. So that's how I, pretty much, I still do it today. Like, I am where I am, but I don't have a degree. Now I'm getting to the stage where I want to get them, right? Working towards
A business degree.
A business degree and stuff. It'd just be nice personally. That's a tangible goal that I have.
It's more like a ticket, I'd say, or something that says, okay, he has a degree in business, and it shows off on your resume.
Yeah, but do you necessarily need it though?
That's a very good question.
You don't.
Yeah.
There's people who I know tons of people that are in business, that started just by having a work ethic, and you have to work smart, but there's a lot of components, having good relationships with people.
Yeah.
But also it comes down to working, and that's all it really is. And there's working, like showing up and doing your job, but there's also like going home and then reading about your job while you're at home after work.
Yeah.
And that's where if you are hungry and curious about, and it doesn't have to be with finance, it's whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
You have to be passionate about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I know, Josh. You're an avid outdoorsman.
Yeah.
You like that. You like hunting, and just tell me what got you into hunting, and when did you first start? Was it more of a passion when you first started, or?
Yeah, like I grew up in northern Manitoba, so it was pretty. Like that was what everybody did, Everybody hunted.
Have you been to Churchill, Manitoba?
No, I lived in Leaf Rapids, Manitoba, and that was about 2 hours away from Churchill.
Yeah.
So it was pretty far.
Yeah, Churchill has a large number of polar bears there.
Yeah.
And they could be a nuisance in the city.
Yeah.
And there are wildlife patrol officers who just, if they ever see a bear, they actually fire. not at the bear, but they actually scare the bear off, so it doesn't do any damage or anything like that. Yeah. So you started off. You were in Manitoba, and that's what pretty much everyone gets into. What else?
Well, my dad, I remember as a kid, like my dad would leave in November. Not like for the month, but he'd come.
Yeah.
He'd go after work. And, after a couple of days, he'd come bring home a deer.
Yeah.
And so I was always interested in that, and they got me a pellet gun when I was young. And just like hunted small game like squirrels and,
Oh, yeah.
and prairie chickens and stuff and did a lot of trapping. And then when I was about, I'd say 12, my dad took me out deer hunting. And then I was pretty much hooked.
Yeah.
After that, shot my first deer, and after that, it was something that has always been a good passion of mine.
Yeah, that's good. Could you tell me about your first hunting trips and what type of animals would you go for? Would you plan the hunt or?
Yeah, when I was when I was younger, I always hunted with my dad and my grandfather. They'd always take me out because they're both avid hunters as well. And then when I moved to Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan, it was a beautiful area, and there was lots of big game up there. Like, you have some of the best whitetail hunting and moose hunting that a guy could ask for. Like, there's just so many animals. It's really an incredible experience. So, yeah, I've hunted like pretty much everything except for cougars up here.
Yeah.
I've hunted bear, deer, elk, moose.
Yeah. Did you often go? So would you plan the hunt, or how would you do that?
Planning process takes a while because every year, there's the different seasons for different animals. So, the guys that I go with, I have a few different friends that I go hunting with, but it's always like a few months in advance. So you're like, hey, elk season's coming up. Are you in to go to this part in Alberta?
Yeah.
For a couple days, and they're like, yeah. So then we start kind of planning. Okay, what do we need? Do we need a tent? Do we need what are we gonna do for the food? What are we gonna do for the vehicle? So those kind of like the logistics of the hunt kind of have to happen before, and then you go after once the season comes.
What about bears? Do you have to? Because bears usually hibernate in the winter. How would you hunt a bear?
How would you hunt a bear? I don't even know about Alberta because I've never hunted bear in Alberta, but I know in Saskatchewan you can bait bears.
Yeah.
So you just put a bait station.
Isn't it illegal to hunt bears in Alberta or BC? I heard it was illegal to hunt bears in BC. Grizzly bears mostly up there.
Yeah, you can't hunt grizzly bears. They're protected.
Yeah.
That's black bears.
Yeah, it's just about black bears.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Did you go in a group, or how did you?
I've went on lots of different hunting expeditions where we've had groups of people.
Yeah.
I preferably like going solo by myself in the woods.
Really? Yeah.
Because it's you with nature, right?
Yeah.
And then it's it becomes that primal stage where it's your instincts against theirs.
Yeah.
So it becomes a bit of a game.
Yeah. How long did it take for your? How long did it take to train for the hunt?
Train well, I think just being outside, right? Because you're hunting a wild animal that knows the woods better than you do, right? They know how to survive. That's their main objective. Besides you trying to kill them and harvest them, they have wolves, they have cougars, they have bears. They have holes that they have to watch out so they don't break their leg. They are pretty well rounded in survival. So learning how to be quiet, how to sense the winds, training, physically fitness. If you have if you're doing a lot of walking, you do have to have a bit of muscle in your legs to be able to walk that far and up the coulees. Alberta's one of the hardest places I've ever hunted. Southern Alberta.
Yeah.
All these coulees up and down in the crevices looking for deer.
Yeah.
Especially with a bow is such a challenge because then you have to get close to them and then the deer takes off and then the deer decides to run 4 miles and then you have to walk 4 miles to go find the deer again. So it's definitely a game of chess with them.
You said you went bear hunting. What was it like?
It wasn't, had it been like a wild hunt, you know, I grew up in Manitoba where there's bears all over the place.
And we're talking about just black bears, right?
Black bears, yeah. No, I've never hunted grizzly bears. It's not the most exciting hunt, I'll be honest, because it's like they're pretty slow creatures. Like they just kind of walk, and it's not like the fast paced. Like I've only shot one, and I probably wouldn't do it again.
Yeah.
Just because it's not. I much rather like respect them, and you know I like a bear.
Yeah.
But elk hunting is really what gets my blood pumping. That's like it's hunting like dinosaurs in the bush.
Yeah.
But it's too slow with bears. You kind of sit there and wait, and then they're not a real exciting animal.
Yeah.
They just kind of walk up and sniff the ground and do stuff. So it's not. I didn't really enjoy that, but elk and I like hunting elk and I like hunting deer and moose. Moose and elk are probably my two like favorite things to hunt, just because it's, you know, when you make that first call in the morning, and you hear the bull elk calling back to you, and then you're trying to be quiet and move so it can't hear you, and then
like the bull
elk,
one, bull elk.
yeah, that's a pretty crazy experience.
Yeah. Is it easier for you to hunt in different weather conditions, or what is the pattern like? Like I know, like this season is preferred for elk. This season is preferred for white-tailed deer or something. What is it? How does that work?
Well, elk opens up in September for archery, and so does deer. So, like, basically when it's too hot, the animals don't move, and when it's too cold, the animals don't move, right? So when it's like minus 40, minus 50, they're hunkered down somewhere in the woods, getting away from like or a blizzard, you know. So normally the best success I've had is after like a cold day.
Yeah.
The next day,
Yeah.
when there's calm weather, then they'll be moving to go find food and stuff, and then you can catch them.
Yeah. No. Do you? What is it? What is your recommendation, Josh, for people who want to start this hobby?
Definitely just getting like ask your friends. That's what I do every year. Is just say, hey, do you guys want to go like elk hunt up north, so and so? And they're like, yeah, I'm in. And then we all get together, then we go do it. You know, buy our licenses and our tags, and then we go out. So it's just asking people, because if you're curious about it, you know, just go like say I want to try this with somebody. And most like that's kind of the thing about hunting. It's better of a shared experience. Like I like doing it solo, but I also like doing it with people, because it just makes for fun. If you're going on like a 3-night trip, it's better to be with a group of friends having a good time than and probably my favorite thing is like sharing that experience with somebody who hasn't had it yet, like taking them out who haven't shot an elk or haven't shot a deer or a moose, and just watching, right, how excited they get, and it's a good time.
Yeah. Where else have you traveled besides Alberta?
Like vacation travels or hunting travels?
Just hunting travels.
Hunting travels. Oh, Manitoba, Saskatchewan. I do a lot of like pretty much all my big game hunting in northern Saskatchewan, and I go moose hunting northern Saskatchewan, and then I go elk hunting northern Alberta.
Yeah, yeah. And what's it like hunting for a deer? How much meat can you get out of that? Can you
out of like regular whitetail deer? Not very much. Probably less than a guy.
Because whitetail is not. How big is a whitetail?
Not very big.
Yeah.
Like you can probably chew through a whitetail deer.
Like a week? Would it take a week?
Probably a month.
A month, yeah.
If just like not like eating it every day, but just like having a roast here, a couple of steaks there. Like it depends if you have a family too. If you have like 4 people in your family, your deer's not gonna last very long.
Yeah.
But if you have an elk, it's like the size of a cow, right? Bigger than a cow.
Really?
So, yeah. There's a lot of meat.
Yeah.
A lot of meat on there.
Yeah.
And then packing that out of the bush is like
it could be a challenge, right? Packing.
I shot one time. I walked up. I was with these guys who were like avid elk hunters, and they went over like down the line, and I said, "Okay, I'm just gonna sit on this cliff." And I wasn't expecting to see anything, so I was hoping that they would. They came from another province, so I was hoping that they would be able to fill their tags. Yeah. And so I sat on this cliff, and I was sitting there waiting, and then I look to the right of me, and there's this bull elk looking at me from across, like on the other side of the cliff.
Yeah.
So there was like this probably 150-foot bank down, and then a river, and then another bank. So I shot this elk across the bank on the other side, and went down. I waited a little bit.
What rifle?
I was using a .303 British.
Yeah.
And I shot this elk. I went, hiked down this cliff, crossed the river, back up the other side, and sure enough, the elk's there. So I tagged it, and I went back to the truck, and then they were walking up to me. I said, "You shoot something?" I said, "Yeah, I got an elk," and so he backed the trailer up to the cliff, and it took us like 5 hours to cut this elk, pack it down, because you had to take one piece at a time, because you had to cut it. The leg weighs like 150 pounds to 200 pounds. You have to put it on your back, go down this cliff, cross the river, and then do like a vertical ascent up this cliffside into the trailer.
Yeah.
And like they hated me. Like they were not happy at all about doing it. But we all walked away with
Why would they hate you?
There's easier ways to shoot them. Normally, like you want a nice flat prairie where you can shoot it.
Oh, it's easier.
And then you can pull a trailer up, and then you can throw it like on the trailer or something where it's not hard. A lot of guys use a hoist, but this was like work. Like you had to it was like walking straight up a cliff with like 200-pound pack of meat on your back.
Yeah.
It was not fun.
Was it a clear shot, or what was it like? Because I'm not sure, familiar with rifles here.
It was pretty, like I was kneeling, and I honestly, I just looked to the right of me, and I seen the ant. So what happened was I was walking down into the trail, like I was kind of walking towards the cliff, and I heard a bunch of branches snapping, and I thought it was cows because there was cattle in there, which has to be really careful.
Yeah.
But I heard branches snapping, and I didn't think anything of it. I thought it was cows right there. So I sat down, and then what happened was the elk, I must have spooked the elk, so they went down the cliff, across the river, and back up on the other side of the bank, and I was sitting there, and that elk must have came out just to poke its head out to see what was chasing, like what was behind it. And so I seen it seen me, so I quickly just pivoted with my rifle, kneeled, and then his head was behind, he walked behind like a poplar tree, so I couldn't see his head, I could just see his front shoulder sticking out. So I shot it, went down, and then that was pretty much it. But it was such a fluke shot because I had this like probably 450, 500 yard window, and then like a 2-foot space to make that shot.
Yeah.
And I placed it, and it went right down. It was pretty much dead instantly.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Because don't you have to calculate where you have to hit the elk? Because, as far as I know, if you take a wrong shot and the elk escapes, it's not good, right? Or what if someone is in the range, right?
So you have to calculate for the wind. You have to calculate for like the yardage, for how many yards you're making that shot. Because normally guys set the rifles in for like 100 yards, right? So now if it's 500 yards, you have to raise it like an inch and a half.
That's really far, though. 500 yards.
That's a good shot. For an elk, it's a lot easier because they're a bigger animal, right? So your area of impact is greater than say a deer. Like a deer is probably 1.5 foot thick, where an elk's like 2-3 feet. 4 feet, depending on how big the bull is.
Yeah. So how long does it last? So you gut it up, you cut it open, you take off the slices of the elk,
and then you hang it.
You harvest it, right? Is that what you say? Harvest. Yeah.
Yeah, you harvest your meat, so you pack the meat up, and then you hang it for a bit, and then it normally lasts you. Depends how fast you eat it. Like for me, I eat it. If I have an elk, I pretty much eat it like every day or every second day.
It's really good meat.
It's beautiful. It's the best. It's the best kind of meat you can get. Something too about like the novelty of harvesting your own meat is like it's cool to eat it after. Like I harvested this animal. It's not like people I think forgot where their groceries come from, right? Where everything just shows up on your plate. It's like I put in the work. Number one, to track down this animal. Yeah. Right. And we only harvest like the older bulls. Like we are pretty conservative on letting like the smaller, younger animals go. And it's like the ones that are already at that age where they're gonna die. Like they're either gonna be taken out by wolves, or they're gonna catch a disease, And a lot of those older bulls become sterile, so they're not even reproducing anymore.
Yeah.
So it's an ethical way.
What's their lifespan? How long do they live?
I think elk's like 12, 13 years.
Yeah.
That's their prime. So when you take them out at like 10, anywhere over 10, 9, 10, and that's a good sized bull. That's a good.
Yeah.
He's already at the end of his lifespan, so it's a pretty good shot.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you seen wolves in the wild?
Well, so yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen.
Like a pack or?
I've seen him. Yeah, we were hunting one time. And
I have never seen a wolf in the wild. I've never seen wolves. The only wolves I've seen is in Calgary too.
Yeah.
But I've never seen wolves in the wild.
yeah, very
Intelligent.
very intelligent animal. I was hunting in Manitoba on my farm with my dad when I was a kid, and I still remember this vividly. We were sitting there waiting for deer, and we heard a wolf howl beside us, like pretty close, like probably 50 yards away, and it was just in the thick bush. And it's loud, like you can like feel like in your chest, like when that wolf's howling. It's just a deep, deep howl. And it was like, oh my god. And then another one howled behind us, and then another one to the side, and they had circled us, and we were hunting. And my dad, I wasn't like over because I had a rifle, so I was like, okay, worst come to worst, like if they come attack, like I do have like a box of shells beside me. So my dad was pretty nervous.
How old are you?
I was about 13.
Yeah.
And what had happened, we were sitting there kind of wondering what was going to happen next. And my grandfather, one was coming across, like he knew that we were right there and they were all coming, so he shot at one, and then they all scattered. But that was a pretty intense
Encounter, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are the different types of meat you can eat in a deer? What are the types of?
Your back straps are where your steaks come from. That's
That's
probably
more
the best
tastier,
part.
I guess.
It's just a nicer cut of meat. That's where even if you have like a normal ribeye,
Yeah.
or like not a ribeye, but if you have a steak at a restaurant, normally it's like the back strap of the cow.
Do they? Because you and I, we went to this place and I had elk one time, an elk burger. Do they actually farm these animals or?
Yeah, so and they have to. That's all farm raised elk, right? So it's more expensive, but yeah, there's lots of farms that raise like buffalo and elk and
Like buffalo bison?
yeah, and then they'll sell the meat for like butcher shops and like people who just enjoy eating buffalo. Like you can buy like wild processed meat from like game farms and stuff.
Yeah, and that's because I know they're bringing back the bison back in Banff.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of that, but it was pretty neat. And what are the different types of deer that are there? I know there's whitetail.
Yeah, in Canada, there's normally just whitetail and mule deer. Mule deer is a bigger deer than a whitetail. Their antlers are a lot bigger, but just a bigger body, like a heavier set deer. They spring when they jump.
Yeah.
They bounce.
And there's only one type of elk then. Only one
Elk.
species of elk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like around where we are.
Where we are.
Yeah, there's only one type of elk.
Yeah. What other types of animals have you encountered in the wild?
Like lots of near miss, like cougar hunting, like hunting for deer. I remember, like it was just a fresh snowfall, and I had walked out onto this. I was in northern Alberta, and you're in the kind of the bush. I was by myself, and I was walking, and I
Do you have any close calls or anything like that with predators?
Yeah. Like I've seen lots of bears and stuff. Like came across like walking, and then like a bear comes out at you.
Yeah.
Does a spook bluff.
Yeah.
His hair rises, and then he kind of does that lunge.
False charge.
Yeah, false charge. And then they're pretty like if you like walk away slowly and stuff. Like I got chased by a couple when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But other than that, like moose getting aggressive too, like hiking and then seeing a bull moose.
I've heard a moose is really a dangerous animal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, especially if like a lot of like things like if a mother moose has a calf with her, then you have to watch out, because then all she's saying. Same with bears too. Like a bear has a cub.
Yeah.
Like you do not want to be in between a mother bear and their cub, because
Yeah.
like she's gonna run you over and maul you.
Yeah.
Like instantly. Like I've heard that like they're on you before you see them, and then it's like you're on the ground, and this bear is like ripping you to shreds.
Yeah.
Like it's just so fast.
Yeah. I know you had a cougar encounter. Could you tell me a little bit about that? What was it like when you found out? Are you sure it was a cougar? Or
I'm
it could be
100%.
it could be a lynx.
No.
Or it
No.
could be
Not at all. I was dating this girl one time, and I had taken her sturgeon fishing down at the river. So it's sturgeon. You have to go sturgeon fishing at night.
where is it?
I was down in Police Point Park
Okay.
on the South Saskatchewan River, and I went there at about 2:00 in the morning.
How okay, that's pretty dark.
That's dark,
Yeah.
and there wasn't a full moon.
What do you have there? What do you have any lights or anything?
I have a headlamp on. She has a headlamp on, and we're walking down this riverside, and all I have with me is like a lawn chair and a fishing rod, and my tackle box. And I was looking, and I seen
What were you guys doing there?
sturgeon fishing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I seen these two eyes they're like bigger eyes that were like reflecting the light off my headlamp, and I couldn't make out what it was. So I told her, I said, "Look, shine your light this way," and she was like looking this direction and that direction. If she didn't have glasses on, she couldn't see. I'm like, "Hey, no, like, because this animal's not moving. We're getting closer to this, and if it's a coyote or if it's any kind of smaller cat, it'll take off. Like coyote, they're gone instantly. Any other animal's gonna run, especially when there's people and you're making noise.
Yeah.
And this thing, I could just see the eyes go up, look, and then it went kind of at grass level and it was down, but the eyes were spaced apart, and we were close. So the eyes were about like, I don't know, probably 4 inches apart. So it's like based off the eyes alone. It's not a small animal. Coyotes are like tiny.
Yeah.
So she shined her light on it, and then you could see the cougar's head looking. And then I stopped, and I kind of didn't say anything for a second. I didn't tell her. She goes, "What is it?" I said, "Okay, we gotta go." And then she then went into panic mode and started running. I was like, "Don't run, because if you start running, this thing's gonna come at you."
Yeah.
So it's pitch black. The only thing you can see in front of you is your headlamp. We're in the tall grass along the riverside.
Yeah.
There's rocks. So I'm walking backwards slowly, and I'm looking with my headlamp, trying to see where I'm going, walking. And every time I turn around, the cat's a little bit closer. And then I walk a little bit, turn around, the cat's a little bit closer. So it was stalking where we're going, was not going. And we finally made it back, probably like 15 minutes of walking along this riverbed. I still didn't tell her what it was because I didn't want her to take off. And we got onto the pavement, and we were probably 400 yards away from the vehicle. And we kind of just kept looking back and jogging lightly with all this
That's
fishing
really
equipment.
scary, especially to see something. You made out it was a cougar. Did you see parts of its body or no?
I seen the back, you could see the outline that it was definitely a big cat.
Okay.
It was not. It was
Like
not
the
a deer. It wasn't. Yeah. It was you see the back
how
and the
big
tail.
was it? Did you figure it out?
Its back was probably 4 feet
4 feet.
off the ground. So it was a big cat. And then we had called Police Point Park we messaged them the following day about the cougar sighting, and then they said that there's a cougar that's been spotted numerous times in the area.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So what happened?
They had trapped the cougar not too long after that, and they brought it out to Riding on Stone, in that area.
Oh, okay. So they relocated the animal.
Relocated the cat. But it was you want to talk about your heart racing? That's when you realize you don't have anything on it. Normally I do when I go hiking by myself. I always
And
have
you didn't
bear
have a gun
spray
or anything like that? No.
I'm in sturgeon fishing downtown. If someone sees me with a rifle, really, what is that guy doing?
Yeah.
You can't just carry around a firearm for that. You can I carry bear spray on me.
Yeah, I think
for
that's
the
the
intent
safest.
of hiking and a bear
case.
attacks you. You
Yeah.
can use bear spray, but
Yeah. So yeah, with bears, with cougars, you never know because I recently saw a cougar. I've never seen a cougar in my life, and the only place I've seen one is at the zoo. The face was enormous, and you know, they're pretty dangerous. They could take you down easily if they. I think it also depends on the prey. Hey, so if they find, I think there's a lack of prey. Maybe it's really too hard to find prey, and that's why I've never heard of cougars killing people in Alberta. Then, but
There has been
there
cougar attacks. Yeah, there's been a lot. Like there was a guy last year up in Grand Prairie that was working on a rig, and he thought one of his friends was like pushing him down.
Yeah.
And he turned around and it was a cougar that was on his back trying to maul him. It was a malnourished cougar. Yeah, it hadn't eaten in a while. It was really skinny, but it was just trying to kill him so it could eat. But I've been hiking in the mountains where we've gone backpacking in there, and we went we went to summit a mountain.
Yeah.
And on our way back down the mountain, there was cougar tracks on top of our tracks. So like the cat had followed us, and then somewhere back down we had like passed it.
Yeah.
And that's an eerie feeling.
Yeah. You've submitted some mountains. Could you tell us some of your best experiences and how do you prepare mentally for that?
Yeah, I've done like quite a few summits. I think what do you want to hear, like the most dangerous times we've done, or just like my best experience?
Sure, yeah.
I went one time with a few friends, and we'd stayed the night. It was like a 4-day trip, and we had camped all along trying to get up this mountain, and we had made it to almost the peak, and there was this really small area where it was pretty much vertical. We had to build stairs in the snow to get up the summit. And so we took our shovel. We took like a shovel or a snowshoe or something, and like carved these stairs out in the snow, and it was really icy. So the ratio, if you were to fall going up, it wouldn't be that severe. But if you were to fall going back down, like it was quite dangerous because there was a cliff right beside of it. So if you were to fall going up, like the severity of it wasn't that risky. But on our way down, we took our time. Like we summited. And we were going down, and there was like probably 9 feet of snow, and we're one at a time, slowly kind of just trekking. And then the next thing I know, one of my buddies is just doing this somersault, like down the side of this mountain, like bag and all, like just somersault, head over, boots in the air, going down, and he stuck the landing, like honestly, like probably like 2 feet away from this cliff edge. Like he would have been like gone. Yeah. Had he done it, and then we all kind of were like, okay, like this is this is incredibly dangerous, and it's our heightened sense of alert went right up after that.
Yeah, that's all right. So I know you're into. You've also done in rodeos in the past. Would you continue to do rodeos in the future, or
no? My back, I don't know if I. This way. Just quiet for a second.
Yeah.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
That's my knees. That's my knees from rodeo.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah, you're done.
I'm gonna.
Is it more like a dangerous sport, Josh, or how did you train for it?
It is. It's really, you know what? I give a lot of credit to the.
Did you have any injuries from that?
No.
No.
I got my head banged a couple times, like off the ground. I couldn't see straight, but I give so much credit to the people. Like it's such a good-hearted community, and like I have so many good friends that are out there still giving her, and I don't know how they do it, but some of the best people that I know are rodeo guys, bull riders and bareback riders.
Yeah.
I rode bareback
because that's with horses, right? Bareback, yeah. And
yeah.
What about bull riders though? Is that
tough?
That's
tough sport. That's a whole another level of toughness. You get. I've seen it happen multiple times where guys get hung up on that bull.
Yeah.
And they're going for a ride, and that horn's hitting you. Those legs are kicking you. I've seen a guy. Honest to God, I've seen a guy have his leg broken, the bone sticking out of his leg, and he's yelling for someone to get his chew, like chewing tobacco, and he just put a dip in and laid there like. Some of the toughest people that you can meet. It's unreal.
It's a whole new level, I guess.
Yeah, it's an elite level too. Like it's such an athletic division.
Yeah.
Like you have to be in shape to do that.
Because I know Calgary does it every year, right?
The Stampede.
Yeah, Calgary Stampede, and then there's also Ponoka
Yeah.
Stampede, where people from all over North America
Go
come
to
and
watch.
compete, watch, and basically have a good time there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to watch on TV, but I know it could be very dangerous.
Yeah, it is, and that's the risk you take every time you get on. You know,
Yeah.
you don't really know what's going to happen, but the biggest adrenaline rush of your life, like it's something crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, to get on and the adrenaline starts when you're going there.
Yeah.
Like when you go into the arena or the rodeo, like
Yeah.
and you know you're gonna get on. Like for me, that's when it started. Was just thinking about it, and then you kind of get there, get your stuff ready, tie your rigging on, get ready. You get the horses after the bulls go.
Because the horses are not that dangerous than the bulls, right?
Yeah. Well, bulls will come after you.
Yeah, horses are pretty.
Horses, you're a lot higher up, and they buck a lot harder.
Yeah.
So you get back, like you get hung up on a horse, you're also going for a ride. And the horse, like I've seen it where saddle bronc riders, they get their foot caught in their stirrup, and they're underneath the horse, and that horse is running. So you're getting.
Yeah.
And now somebody has to catch that horse
To
stop it, and either undo the saddle while the horse is running or something. But I've seen a lot of wrecks where a lot of guys. I see the guy. The last time I rode, I seen the guy break his pelvis.
Yeah.
And that was the guy riding in front of me, and I said, "This is the last time I'm
Yeah.
doing it because I want to be able to walk." And I give credit to my friends that still go,
Yeah.
but they're just crazy. Like it's an unreal sport. One of my best friends, Colton. He's still. I think he's a pro rider now.
He's still doing it?
He's still doing it. He's like that's how we met in Meadow Lake, and I moved to Milk River, Alberta, and there was a lot of bull riders there.
Yeah.
But when I moved up to Meadow, I met Colton, and he just taken it to like another level. Like he was always very good at it. I just had a knack for it. Like we go travel around every weekend, travel to different cities and towns and stuff, and get on and have a good time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he's it's definitely like if you look at it from an athlete's perspective, it's one of the hardest sports a guy can do.
Yeah.
That and MMA, I think, are the two
Two
hardest.
Too hard. Speaking of
Yeah.
MMA, did you watch the last fight?
With Izzy?
Izzy and Jan?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting how much how calculated Izzy was, but that takedown was more like a wrestle takedown. What Jan
Size difference.
Yeah. Well, yeah, size. Well, Izzy's pretty tall too, right? He's like 6'4". And Jan is a big dude for sure.
Well, it's just like it's that power difference. Like if that's it, and I don't care like how good you are.
Yeah.
That power difference. Like I fought a heavyweight, just sparring compared to like the normal guys that I size up with.
Yeah.
And it's a different. It's like
It's a different.
You're getting hit with a truck.
Yeah.
Like they just got a little bit more oomph behind the shot that's being thrown. So with Izzy and Jan. Had Izzy beat Jan, I think it would have been, that's a pretty good accomplishment. But at the same time, too, like, Izzy's a phenomenal fighter.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of what anyone says, like, he is who he is. Every fight.
Is this his first loss or his first loss?
That's his first loss. He lost one in kickboxing. Lost a couple in kickboxing. But he had over, 100 fights in kickboxing. So that's how it goes. Over 100 fights, you have under 10 losses in kickboxing.
Yeah.
That's unreal. So when you have he's very similar to John Jones in his fight IQ.
Yeah.
He very much uses the science behind it.
Yeah.
To counter his strikes and plan for the attack. Unfortunately, Jan's just got the weight, and that's what he did with the takedowns. It was the wrestling that got him.
Yeah, more like a wrestling takedown, and I saw Khabib
congratulating him
later on. But yeah, that was a good fight. And what did you think of what was the other guy's name?
Sterling.
Sterling and
man.
Was it Peter Yan? Peter Yan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's get up. You know, get up.
I mean, what was
That's-
What was Peter saying to him? Like,
Not well. I mean, he like
did you watch it? Because I didn't watch that one.
yeah.
I was seeing bits of it. Well, what was he saying to him? He's like, okay, and after that, he just,
I don't
surprises
know.
him with
It was an illegal knee at the end of the day, and I know that like people get a little hyped about it, but for 3/4 of that fight, the guy was on his back.
Yeah.
So I can understand Peter's frustration and wanting to go shot for to fight, and you have this guy who's just not doing much. So
Yeah.
a counter knee to the head, it did cost him the belt, but I can bet you that next time he fights, he's not going to do that.
Yeah, I bet. He's Peter Yan was pretty composed in the fight as well, but I didn't watch the whole fight.
Jan's a good fighter.
Yeah.
Jan's a good fighter. You know what? Do it around 2. He beat Sterling.
Yeah.
3 rounds. Like he beat him every round. There was no, and then the irony was that Sterling got the belt.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. He did take a pretty heavy shot to the head.
Yeah.
But I definitely think when he heard the guy on the microphone say, if he doesn't get up, he gets the belt. He definitely just took another breath and waited a bit.
Yeah.
And it's at the end of the day, it's that guy's career. That's his body. He has to take the abuse to it. So yeah, taking a knee like that and then going. But see, it's hard to say because how many fights TJ Dillashaw or Chuck Liddell, Tito, those guys took heavy blows and still got up and did it. And that's, I think, Gilbert Burns. You have these guys who can take heavy shots, but it all comes down to your body. You are the athlete, and if you're not there to be able to do it, your career is pretty much over.
Was this a lightweight or featherweight or was it? I'm not sure what it was. I think it was banter, right? No.
Bantam? I don't even know, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but hey, it was a good fight. I kind of watched short clips of it, but yeah.
There's a few fights coming up. I'd like to see John Jones versus. I know that everyone's so against it, John Jones versus Izzy, but I think they're at the same level of fight IQ.
Yeah.
I think Izzy bit off a little bit more than he could chew with Jan.
Yeah.
But had he beat Jan, it would have been John Jones next. So.
Yeah. So I think they're now deciding. So I think it's now Jan versus. It could be Jan versus John Jones next fight. You never know because he was pretty ecstatic when he won the fight and he was pointing to John Jones and John Jones was happy as well. So
Yeah.
Well, I think that's it. Thank you. I can't thank you enough for coming in tonight.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we had a good time tonight.
For sure.
We'll do it again sometime again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome. Thanks, David.